Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'll be showing you how I made this v-neck gown with a drape and a bell bottom sleeve. So the inspiration is the picture on the left and the picture on the right is the outcome of this tutorial. As you can see on me, of course I rocked this to a party, so stay tuned to the end of this video. So remember, we're going to be cutting on fold and we are going to be drafting a basic bodice pattern. I've gone ahead to mark my half length measurement and my bust point measurement. My half length is 17 inches plus 1 inch, and then my bust point is 10 inches. So now I'll be marking my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. So I don't want that black stuff to be showing, so I'm going to cut it away. So now I'm marking my neck depth, which is 3 inches. I came down by 1 inch on the shoulder for my shoulder slope, and for my armhole depth I used 8 inches. So I want to extend my chest line now. I'm trying to use these two colors of chalk so we can see it clearly. So now I'm going to extend my armhole line like so. So I measured what we have on our armhole depth, that's 8 inches divided by 2. On that point, I went in by half an inch. So I divided my bust measurement by 4 and I went ahead to mark it on my chest line. I also added 2 inches for sewing allowance also on the chest line. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my French curve to connect the armhole curve like so. So I'm using this other color of chalk so you can see it clearly. So now I'll go ahead and connect my shoulder slope like so. So on the waist, I'm going to mark my bust span measurement. That's the nipple to nipple divided by 2 for me, which is 4 inches. So I went in and out of that 4 inches by half an inch on both sides. So also on the bust point, I measured the 4 inches. From the bust point, I came down by about 2 inches. Then I also measured the 4 inches for my bust span on that point. So now I connected the straight line with my ruler, and then I also connected the half an inch. I went out and in by to that point. So that is our dart intake. So now I'll go ahead and mark my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 7.25. Then plus 1 inch for the dart intake and also 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So I went ahead to connect the waist and the bust with my ruler like so. So for the neck, I don't want my chest to be too revealing, so I came down by 5 inches for my neck depth. So I'm going to connect the V shape with my ruler. I'm going to connect the shoulder to that 5 inches point to form the V-shaped neck. So now I'll go ahead and cut it out now. And that's all for drafting of the front pattern. So for the back pattern, we're also going to draft our basic back pattern. So I have marked my half length plus 1 inch for allowance. So now I'm marking 1 inch for my zipper allowance. So the 1 inch I'm marking is for the zipper allowance, and then I'm going to connect those points to form a straight line. So all my measurements will be starting from that zipper allowance line. So now I'll measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches, and then I came down by 1 inch on the shoulder for the shoulder slope, and then I went ahead to mark the 8 inches for my armhole depth. So now I'm going to connect the line to form my chest line. So now I'm also going to extend my armhole depth line. So I went ahead to mark 3 inches for my neck depth, and now I'll go ahead and connect my shoulder slope like so. So on my chest line, I'll go ahead and mark my bust measurement divided by 4 plus our 2 inches for sewing allowance. Also on the waist, I marked my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and then plus 2 inches for the sewing allowance. So now I'm going to connect the point with my ruler like so. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark my dart intake. Remember, our measurement is starting from the zipper allowance line. So the difference in this dart intake is that we are not going to come down from the chest point like we did at the front. The lines from the waist will be connected directly to the chest point like so. So now I'll come down by 1.5 inch for my neck depth. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it. I'm going to connect it with my ruler like so, and then I'm going to use my French curve to draw the neck, the round neck. So the armhole line, I divided what we have by 2, which is 4, and then on that point I went in by 0.25 inches, that's 1/4 of an inch. So I went ahead to use my French curve to connect my armhole curve like so. So I'll go ahead now and cut it out, and that's basically all for drafting of the back pattern. So for the lower part of the gown, we're going to be drafting a basic skirt pattern. I have a tutorial on this. I'll be dropping it in the description box on how to draft a basic skirt pattern. So now I will go ahead and measure the length of my gown, which is 38 inches, and I minused the 17 inches for my half length. Don't forget. So I'll go ahead and extend the line like so. So on the waist, I'll mark my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 7.25, and then I added 1 inch for my dart intake and then 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So from the waistline, I came down by 9 inches. So that's going to serve as my hip line. So now I'm going to extend the line for my hip line. So from the waistline, I came down by about 18 inches for my knee line, for my knee measurement. So I'm also going to extend the line for my knee measurement. So on the hip line, I went ahead to mark my hip measurement divided by 4, which is 10.25, and I added 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So on my knee line, I marked my hip measurement divided by 4, then I added the 2 inches for the sewing allowance. So for the knee line, I want my skirt to be fitted from the knee, so I'm going to minus about 1 inch away from the actual measurement. So I'm going to be removing 1 inch, like you're seeing, like so. So I'll repeat the same measurements I have on my knee line also at the end of the skirt. So you can check the description box for the link to the tutorial on how to draft a basic skirt pattern, the cutting and the sewing. So now I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect all these points from the hem of the skirt to the knee line, then to the hip line. So now I'm going to use my French curve to connect the waist to the hip line. So now for my dart intake, on the waist, I'll mark my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches. So at that point, I came down by 5 inches, and then I used my ruler to connect the straight line. So on the waist, on that line, I went in and out by half an inch, and so I'll use my ruler to connect the point like so. So that's all for drafting of the front skirt pattern. So right now I'm cutting it out. So for the back pattern, the only difference will be our zipper allowance. So I'll use 1 inch for my zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch for the zipper allowance like so. And then I'll place my skirt at that point. So on the knee line, I changed my mind. I minused half inch from the measurement again. I want the lower part of my skirt to be very fitted, so it will bring out my curve, so the curve will be very visible. So I removed half inch again, and then I connected with my ruler like so. So I'll go ahead and cut it out like so. Remember, I'm cutting half inch away from the hem of the skirt and from the knee line only. We're not going to tamper with our hip measurement, remember. So now on the back pattern, from the waist on the folded part, I came down by half an inch and I went in by 5 inches. So I used my curve to connect it like so. And then I'm going to cut that part out. The reason why we're doing this is to avoid bulginess on the zipper area. So the zipper area will be smooth. So that's all for drafting of the skirt pattern. On the back part of the upper bodice, I'm going to come up by half an inch from the zipper area and also go in by 5 inches from the zipper area. And I'm also going to connect with my curve like so and also cut that part out. Remember, the reason is to avoid bulginess on the zipper area. Please guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like this video and turn on post notification bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much guys. So for the sleeve, I'll be using this lower larger part for the hem of the sleeve because it's a bell bottom sleeve. So I want my sleeve length to be 22 inches. Then I added 1 inch for allowance. So I'll go ahead and mark 23 inches for the length of my sleeve. Starting from under that black line because I don't want that black line to be showing on my sleeve. So I'll go ahead and extend the line like so. So that will be serving as our shoulder line. And then this lower part that I'm ruling right now will serve as the hem of the sleeve. That's the end of the sleeve. So from this upper line, I came down by 3.25 inches. So I'm going to extend the line. And that's our cap's height line. This upper part of the sleeve is just like you are drafting your basic sleeve, so it's nothing complicated. So on the cap's height line, I'm going to mark my armhole depth measurement. Remember, my armhole depth measurement was 8 inches, so I marked it and then I added 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler to connect this line, to connect from that point to the shoulder. So I'll measure what I have on that line and then mark the midpoint. So watch closely as I use my French curve to draw the armhole curve. So I'm also using my free hand to connect the curve properly. So please guys, you can let me know in the comment section if you don't know how to draft your basic sleeve and any other question you might have concerning this tutorial or any other style. So at the hem of the sleeve, I went ahead to mark 15 inches for the wideness of the bell bottom. So you can use 15, you can use any amount of inches you want depending on how wide or how small you want your sleeve to be. So I went ahead to connect with my ruler like so. So on the folded part from the hem of the sleeve, I came up by 2 inches, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect that point to the other end of the sleeve. So this will give the sleeve something like a V shape. So that's all for the drafting of the sleeve. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So I'll go ahead and cut the second sleeve. In my next video, I'll show you the complete sewing process of this style. So see you in my next video.